Last night, the Toronto Raptors took down the Brooklyn Nets to sweep the first round series, and along the way, they broke a lot of franchise records, but more importantly, they broke an all-time NBA record. Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports, everybody. Jacob Chandler here talking about the Raptors breaking so many franchise records in yesterday's rout of the Brooklyn Nets to earn the first ever sweep in franchise history. Yes, the Raptors, for the first time in the history of their franchise, have swept a team in the playoffs. There are now only two teams who have not yet done this, and this also broke a streak for longest playoff run without a sweep. That was the first time in 16 playoff series that the Raptors actually earned themselves a sweep of their opposition. There are only two other teams who have a longer streak than that, but the Raptors finally get it done. They move on to the next round where they will play the Boston Celtics, who also swept their opposition in the Philadelphia 76ers, which is very impressive. I mean, even though the 76ers don't have Ben Simmons, that is still a good 76ers team, and the Boston Celtics swept them. I mean, the Sixers are horribly miscoached, and I think Brett Brown needs to be replaced as the head coach of that organization. However, still, very impressive that Boston Celtics got through. But back to the Raptors. They broke a lot of franchise records yesterday. Most points in a playoff game with 150 points. That magical and won by Stanley Johnson at the end of the game gets us that 150 points. Like I said, the all-time record for points in a playoff game by the Toronto Raptors. They also had the most three-pointers in a playoff game all time with 22. They also broke their franchise record for most assists in a playoff game. All of this without Kyle Lowry because he got injured early on. He had that worrisome, ankle sprain maybe. And Fred VanVleet, who got 3 fouls in his first 7 minutes, didn't really feature in the game. But this allowed us to break not a franchise record, but an all-time NBA record. 100 bench points for the Toronto Raptors. Yes, 100 points just from the bench. Like I said, this is not a franchise record. This is not an NBA playoff record. This is an all-time NBA record. The most bench points in a game by any team ever, regular season or playoffs. The regular season record was previously held by the Golden State Warriors of the 1970-1971 season with 94 bench points. Yes, that record, a 49-year-old record, was broken by the Toronto Raptors last night. The most bench points in a playoff game, just a playoff game, was by the Dallas Mavericks in 2011, was 86 bench points. The Raptors broke a record that has stood for years, possibly one that may have never been broken. And the Raptors get 100 bench points. It's all about that next man up attitude for the Toronto Raptors. Like I said, Kyle Lowry goes down with the injury in the first quarter. And by the way, that injury, I think if this is like a pivotal and serious game, Kyle Lowry features for the second half at least. He comes back and plays through because he knows what's at stake. I think that, because he knew the Raptors had it locked down, the bench guys were doing well, he didn't have to play. But Fred VanVleet, those 3 fouls early on kind of restricted him in the first half. I don't think he featured again after he picked up those 3 fouls in the first 7 minutes of the first quarter. But the bench boys come in and next man up attitude. Norman Powell breaks another franchise record. Most points off the bench by a single player in franchise history. Norman Powell, 29 points. And just as impressive, if not even more impressive, Ibaka surges off the bench to give us 27 points. Both of those players, Norman Powell and Serge Ibaka, had absolutely stunning games for the Raptors in Game 4. The efficiency of their shooting was ridiculous. Serge Ibaka, 12 for 14 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. That is crazy, and that is very nice to see from Serge, who struggled in Game 2 but has come alive in Games 3 and 4. Norman Powell, also very efficient, 9 for 14 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. Both of those players had great games, It allowed us to give these bench guys some more minutes because our starting guards weren't available for the game. Like Terrence Davis comes in and gets more minutes. He has a good game, shooting 5 for 10 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, 14 points. That's pretty good for the rookie. Also, dunking all on Rodion Kuric's head for a poster. Rodion Kurucs is on 2 posters I'm going to have in my room next year. Norman Powell already, and now Terrence Davis completely posterizes Rodion Kurucs, who I've criticized on many occasions for not being able to guard anybody, especially his interior defense being completely abysmal. Showcased yet again by Terrence Davis, dunking all over him. Great to see Terrence Davis getting some confidence. Great to see Norman Powell and Serge Ibaka really starting to show what they can do in the playoffs. And it's great that we can lose a couple of key guys and still be able to put up 150 points. 100 of those points coming from the bench. And I get a lot of it was in the fourth quarter because we had bench guys on, but still, to put us in the position to get 150 points when you can't have your starting backcourt really feature in the game is unbelievable from the Toronto Raptors. I loved what I saw. I have no doubts that Kyle Lowry will be available for Game 1 against Boston on Thursday. Like I said earlier, I think if he needed to play in that Game 4, he would have played, but he recognized, used the rest, come back ready for Game 1. This is exactly what I wanted to happen in Game 4, by the way. I said after Game 3, I want the Raptors to be able to handle Brooklyn early, mitigate the storm, and come out firing so that you don't have to really exert yourself in the game. And what we can do is just start to put in a lot of bench guys to give them momentum going into the next round of the playoffs. That is exactly what we got here. The Raptors take advantage early, and it gives Norman Powell a lot of minutes. It gives Serge Ibaka a lot of minutes. It gives Terrence Davis a lot of minutes. It even gives Matt Thomas a lot of minutes. And you know, it's great to see Matt Thomas getting some momentum because a lot of his game is going to be about confidence, especially as a shooter. And we saw Matt Thomas yesterday. You know, this guy shoots 99%. We know that. He's a 99% shooter. And he comes out firing away. By the way, the fundamentals on this guy, putting it off the glass, it's just so weird to see in the 2020 NBA, seeing a guy use the glass in the way Matt Thomas did. I think we have a new Mr. Fundamentals. This guy's got so many nicknames. This guy, I love this guy. I love Matt Thomas. And I love to see him getting confident, putting up 12 points off the bench. You love to see it. I love seeing Matt Thomas succeed. I love seeing the Raptors succeed. And it was great to see those bench guys getting those minutes to put up an all-time NBA record, but also prepare us for the second round against the Boston Celtics. We know the Celtics have been great this year. We know the Celtics were great against the Sixers in the playoffs. It's not easy to sweep that Sixers team even without Ben Simmons. The Celtics have had our number over the course of this season so far. I mean, in the season series, the Celtics are up 3-1. We have 1 win, they have 3. We know that. We know that they have handed us our only loss in the bubble, and it was our worst performance of the season, in my opinion. But the season series isn't that significant. The playoffs are a completely different game, a completely different beast. We saw last year in the playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks that even though they beat us in the season series, we beat them in 6 in the playoffs. Completely different in the playoffs. I think that, the players know what they got to do to win this series. And I think Nick Nurse has been working on a defensive scheme to combat the Boston Celtics. We know how many talented players they have. They have a lot of guys who can fire away and hit their threes, beat us on the interior. There's a lot of scorers on their team. There's a lot of guys who are going to put up points. I've done my full matchup breakdown on the Raptors versus the Celtics. If you want a full breakdown of how I feel, you can go check that out. Bottom line, how I feel about it, I think the Raptors will come out of this one in 6, maybe 7 games. For the sake of my prediction, I'm going to say 6 games. I like the Raptors in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics. I think this is a very fun matchup, by the way. These teams are both very closely matched together. This is a good matchup for entertaining basketball. I think that, even though I think the Raptors will win in 6, maybe 7, I think the Celtics also have a strong case of winning this series. This is a very even series, like I've been saying. The Celtics could easily win this in 6 or 7 themselves. I'm just in the mind state that I think that the Raptors will take it in 6. The difference over the course of the season series was we shot better than the Celtics. Field goal percentages are in our favor. What was different was that we turned over the ball a lot. We were very sloppy in our performances against the Boston Celtics. I mean, you can look at Christmas Day. We had just come off the biggest comeback in franchise history against the Mavericks, an overtime game against the Pacers, and then we played them on Christmas Day. It wasn't our best game. In the bubble, we have our worst performance of the season. Obviously, the Celtics are the cause of a lot of our struggles in these games. They play great defense. They force the turnovers. But the Raptors know they have to clean up their game if they want to win this series. The series is going to come down to defense, perimeter shooting, and ball security. Like I've been saying with the turnovers, ball security is going to be key. Don't give them extra possessions that you don't need to give them. And also, whoever's coming out hot is going to be winning the games. The team that comes out hot and is going to hit their threes and really get on those runs is the one that's going to dominate in the series. The good thing about this is that the Raptors have a top 5 defense in the league defending the three-point shot. They also have a top 5 offense in the league in shooting the three-point shot. That is a big advantage for the Toronto Raptors. The Celtics are also great in these regards, but the Raptors are the only team in top 5 for both defense of the three and offense from the three. The Celtics have a good defense. The Raptors have a better one. We have arguably the best defense in the entire NBA. We have the second best defensive rating and the best opposition points per game. So it is going to be down to ball security. If you limit the amount of possessions that you give the Celtics, I think the Raptors can win this one in 6. And I think Nick Nurse has been in the lab conducting a way in how to stop this Boston Celtics offense. Because, Jason Tatum himself has said when he was asked who the hardest guy to go up against, who's the best guy at guarding you in the entire NBA, he didn't give a player. He gave a team, the Toronto Raptors. Jason Tatum, and I'm sure the rest of the Celtics recognize what an elite tier defense that the Raptors possess. But the Celtics have a great offense to come at us with. Defense, in the words of the great Pat Riley, defense wins championships, and the Raptors have that defense. But do they have the offense to combat the Celtics? I think they do. The shooters need to be there. We have the bench giving us great games. If a guy has an off game from the starting lineup, we know we have the bench players to make up for that. Maybe Kyle Lowry comes out a little bit flat, isn't shooting well. Norman Powell can come in and have a great game. There are guys who can come in and have big games when you least expect it. Serge Ibaka can come in a game when Pascal Siakam is struggling. Serge Ibaka can come in and put up 25 points, 20 plus at least on a good day for Serge. Next man up attitude, a lot of momentum for both teams. Both teams are well rested. There's no excuses for this series. Everybody's got it. Maybe the Celtics without Gordon Hayward. I don't think he's going to feature in this series, but both teams coming fresh. It is a very evenly matched series. There's not a lot of give for either team. I'm leaning towards the Raptors. I think the defense is going to be the key here for them. They just need to play smart. Ball security is key. Don't turn it over. The Raptors, like I said, they have shot better than the Celtics in the 4 games they have faced each other by a decent margin. It's just giving them extra possessions from the turnovers. The Celtics do a great job of forcing those turnovers. I have a lot of Celtics fans who criticize me on this channel all the time, but there are a few Celtics fans on the channel who, are respectful and understand the prowess that the Raptors have, and I myself understand the prowess that the Celtics have. True fans of each of these teams will have a respect for the opposition. You're entitled to feel the way you want. I feel like the Raptors are going to win this one in 6, but this is not an open shut series. This is going to be a closely contested series of very exciting run and gun fast paced basketball. I am very excited for tip off on Thursday. This is going to be a great series. Both these teams have the ability to win it and go on and take Milwaukee in the next round. That's all there is to it. Thank you so much for the huge influx of subscribers I've had over the last couple of days. Thank you to so much who is a new subscriber or has been an old subscriber. If you've been rocking with me or you're just starting to rock with me right now, I just hope I can keep giving you good content to leave you happy with what I'm giving you on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you like and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this as well. Hit the notification bell because we post 4 times a week on the channel. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We are getting into the thick of the playoffs. I have kept on saying this. We are getting into the thick of the playoffs as the Raptors head into the second round. It's going to be even thicker now. Kyle Lowry style as we take on the Boston Celtics starting on Thursday. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. And if you disagree, that is okay. We will see you again next time.